And good evening and welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone, episode number 4. I'm Spitz, that's John Massoni, and the 941 Sports Zone is presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses across the Gulf Coast. Give them a call at 941-251-4257. That's 941-251-4257. 4257. I was putting the shot sheet together, John. We got a ton to talk about at all three levels of football. We got baseball, and of course, we got what's bugging me. So we got a busy show today.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it all. And then, but you just with Mighty Dog being our sponsor, we just got done talking about how they have the most visually attractive commercial we've ever seen on the Venice football live stream. So they're all over the place, and rightfully so. I guess they're doing a really good job with it for everybody. So that's a good deal.
And this is a good segue. You're becoming a very good segue person. This segues right into high school football. A pretty good week of high school football. A few blowouts, but some interesting results. Venice and Port Charlotte was the game of the week at Powell Davis Stadium. It was a little delayed in getting underway because of the weather. Shocker.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that led to, I thought, a very sloppy first half, John. Last year's game was well played almost throughout. First half, turnovers, penalties, the flags were flying. It seemed like the first half took like an hour and a half. Port Charlotte had a 2-point lead going into the locker room. And I don't know what Coach John Peacock said in the locker room, but the first 8 minutes of that third quarter was like he threw raw meat at these guys. It was a completely different team when they came out of the locker room in the second half. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It was 100% a different team, and it was very sloppy early on. I'll tell you that, it's sometimes you see those games with two teams that are sort of it's respectful to each team because they know that they're both good teams, good, and they're trying not to make big mistakes. So they play tight and they make little mistakes and they add up over and over again. So I think both teams came out a little bit. I wouldn't say cautious, but they just weren't working with that rhythm they normally do. And quite frankly, I don't know if Coach Peacock played a dance music or something, but they got their rhythm down in the second half. And all of a sudden you can see that they really sort of got into motion and jumped out to a lead, a decent side lead in the third, and then basically it was a hold on scenario from there. But a very entertaining because of the closeness of the game, and then the second half as well was entertaining to see how everybody played out.
I wonder what Monday's practice was like because yes, they won the ball game, but 4 turnovers, 11 penalties. The offense still start and stop. Like the first 2 drives of the third quarter were ideal. And you mentioned it, the lead 29-15. And then it was basically hang on time. They were able to get Darian Jones, right? Darian Jones.
Yep.
Integrated. He completed 3 passes for 150 yards, did have a pick, had some really nice runs. I just thought as the game went on, they got a little more comfortable. But in the fourth quarter, you're right. It was a little bit of a hang on situation.
I thought that both teams were fingertips away from big plays. One play in particular for Venice had a guy, Tyree Manning, heading downfield and just off his fingertips. And then on the other side, Logan Flaherty had his big receiver out wide open in the end zone, couldn't quite square his shoulders up properly to make the throw, and gave the Indian cornerback chance to come over and intercept it. So little things like that there and there they were potential game flippers. And just to kind of round it out, Port Charlotte has nothing to hang their head about. They played very well. They played well enough to win. Just again, a few breaks here and there, and again a one more play made. I'll say the most exciting part of the game was the goal line stand at the end of the game, where Venice was able to hold them out from a 4th and 1 situation, and that was kind of a gut punch for the Pirates.
No question about it. And the Indians got 3 first downs after that and basically put the game away, never gave the ball back. The 4-minute offense, that's another big positive for Venice. They were able to get out from the shadow of their own goalpost and basically run out the clock at the final, 4 or 5 minutes?
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah, right, and then enough that you took a knee and the ball never got back in their hands, so it ended up being a big win. But outside of the Venice Port Charlotte game, the other big game of the week was sort of a blowout.
Yes,
Parish Community and Palmetto, and I can tell you right now, you could take all the schools in Manatee County, put them in a bag, shake them up, and you don't know who's going to win. Yeah. I mean, Bayshore comes out and beats the pants off of Braden River. Yep. After Braden River, beat Lakewood Ranch, threw
them into a little bit of a tailspin. They got throttled by Southeast. It was interesting because we talked about this game last week, and I thought that was bad news for Parish Community that Palmetto got tripped up by Riverview the week before. Yes. And I'm pretty sure that the coaching staff had their ear all week.
It was a wake-up call for sure. And sometimes you don't want to lose a game so you can have a chance to coach your kids up and tell them that they need to wake up. But that's I think what just happened. They just needed to get a wake-up call, and they did, and they did a nice job in regards to that 30-8 win for them. So yeah, that was a big deal. Southeast getting back on track again with that. Manatee took another tough one as far as they're concerned, and their record's not like we maybe would have expected for them. But overall, I'd say Manatee County, whoever's playing who or wherever, I don't know who I would pick. It's going to be a matter of week to week, night to night to see how it works. But Palmetto did get an upper hand though on their district, which
no question about it. And Parish Community still has a path to the playoffs. I mean, they finished 9-2 last year, even though they lost to Palmetto.
Right.
The schedule still lays out for them, but they've got to take care of their own business. And Palmetto's in the driver's seat. The other score that just absolutely caught my eye, John, Booker's been kind of scuffling the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They beat the brakes off of Naples 42-0. That totally blew me away.
Because a Naples game is, 19-13 or 15-11. They don't play those games unless they on the routing side of things. They always play tough defense. To grind it out, they run the veer. So it's a very sort of methodical offense, big play here and there. But to go 40, like you said, 42-0 was shocking. Yes. Booker must be getting their groove on right now because they seem to be in rhythm offensively, and that was that's always what concerns you is that Booker when all things are right, they can blow anybody out, and looks like they're at that point already in the season to get that big of a win over Naples.
It's a tough night for Charlotte. Go ahead.
And for Port Charlotte, there might be a recipe to know how to beat Naples if you got to face them sometime again in the playoffs. So I would be begging Booker for that film to see how they did what they did.
Tough night for Charlotte County. In addition to the Port Charlotte loss, Immokalee beat Lemon Bay 44-7. That was a running clock the entirety of the second half. Just the one thing that got me on that was the fact that at halftime, I was listening to the game on WENG, and at halftime, Immokalee had 8 guys who had run the ball. Wow. So they apparently got some depth. They took it on the chin from Naples a couple of weeks ago, and they apparently learned something from that.
So I don't care if you've been in high school football for the last 30, 40 years, you don't want to play Immokalee. They always got tough kids, talented kids. You don't know what level of Immokalee what you're going to get, but you know that they're going to be those kids that have worked their tail off, probably on the practice field and elsewhere. They've always been that kind of team. So yeah, look out for Immokalee. You always look for them in the playoffs. See if they can make a run.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. North Miami Beach, certainly not one of the big powers from Dade County, but they came up to Charlotte, Punta Gorda, tied the game late in the fourth quarter, and then won in overtime. They actually had a 24-yard field goal to win the game that missed, but they were able to hold Port Charlotte and then score a touchdown to win it 20-14 in overtime, and the Tarpon struggles continue.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's everybody's it's again getting on track. It seems to be kind of tough this year, and you would think all the other years we've had these hurricanes and all the weather events and everything else. It seems like this year there's more teams sort of not getting into their rhythm early enough in the season. Venice being one of them as well. You know, there was sort of a slow start to get things where you want to get there. But who knows? Maybe we'll be watching some high level football in about 3 weeks and saying what happened. Did everybody kind of get it going? Because Palmetto and Booker definitely got it going this past week, and even Bayshore even got it going. So that's a good deal.
The fourth team in Charlotte County, Babcock, lost 49-0 to Southwest Florida Christian. Meanwhile, Cardinal Mooney with a very nice win over a very good Tampa Berkeley prep squad, 49-10. So the Cougars getting back on track. No surprise there.
Right now, if you're asking me, they're the most consistent team in the area right now. They seem to be the ones that have got it on. I wouldn't not this cruise control is the wrong thing to say, but they got it on the right situation. They're doing well at this point.
Going into Sarasota County, Riverview with a nice win over Melbourne Central Catholic, 42-14. More points for the Rams. We talked about this last week. They seem to have their offensive mojo going. And Sarasota, a team you've been touting, John, with a nice win against a perennial Pinellas County, team that's very good. St. Pete Gibbs, Sarasota winning 21-16. They're 3-1.
Again, I've had this feeling that they're quietly building the program they want, the team that they want. Down the road, the review, Mark Christiani, you would thought he would be more of a defensive guy, obviously coach defensive side of the ball, getting his offense going. So both those teams are sort of, they're gearing it up. They're revving it up. They're winning the games they should win. You're starting to hear about quarterback play and this and that. So you hear the little rumors and you're like, okay, they're both getting there. They're both getting where they are headed towards a playoff run one way or the other, because they keep on winning these games. And the district's always going to be difficult. But you get enough points and you get in that playoff, and then it's a whole new ball game at that point.
That game will have some juice, Riverview and Sarasota. That's coming up soon, and that'll be a good game. That's probably for a playoff spot, in my opinion, because I think Venice is going to win the district. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but
no. But I think you're right. I think that game can prove out and can prove out to be one that propels you to the 4th or 5th seed in the playoffs in that situation. Real quick, Rich, I see me put my glasses on, so I was looking at some because I had a stat sent my way, and it's about our friends at Sarasota Christian. Quarterback Ben Milliken on Friday night in a loss, 30 for 54 for 408 yards passing, wow. 1 TD and 2 interceptions. Wide receiver Justin Brock, 11 catches, 206 in a TD. So when I see stats like that, it's noteworthy enough that they need to get shouted out for that. And and again, that's second year of 11-man football. They didn't win the game, but it must have been a very entertaining football game for them to throw 400 yards and not win that game. So that was quite a performance individually by those two players.
Tampa Cambridge Christian getting them 45-13. So that's a look at the high school football. Venice, who has Venice next week?
Yes, First Academy, and then it's like this. We're in the meat of the season right now, so district play is starting up a little bit here and there. But I would tell you that about 2 weeks from now, it'll be the heart. Everything is going to be the heart. And there's going to be a lot of big games, a lot of important games for sure. So at this point, I'd say all of them mean something, but the big ones that go over the playoffs are coming up in about 2 weeks.
All right. Let's move over to college football. Before we do, we want to remind you that the 941 Sports Zone is presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. They are locally owned and nationally backed. That's important. Delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses across the Gulf Coast. Give them a call at 941-251-4257. Again, that number 941-251-4257. College football in state. Things in state heating up. Miami took care of business. USF had played 2, I wouldn't say really good games, but they had 2 wins, and Miami just basically blew them out. 49-12, game that was delayed for about an hour and a half by weather.
Yes.
Miami just impose their will. And I'll tell you what, that win showed me a little something. They've still got quite a bit of schedule coming up here with Florida coming in on Saturday. John, I'm shocked that line's only 7.5. The way Miami's been playing. I know it's SEC versus ACC.
Yeah.
I know if we could get DJ Lagway not to wait a minute. It's just in. He just threw another interception. If we can get him to not, and that's the disappointing thing. Let's look at the Florida game because they lost at LSU 20-10. You and I both saw most of that game. First of all, I got two takeaways from this game. One, I am not sold on LSU at all. And Brian Kelly, he apologized to that reporter that he berated right after the game because the first question was about his offense, which basically has been non-existent.
Right.
It's a very fair question. And I think maybe his AD grabbed him and said, you might want to go ahead and look at that. Yeah. But the thing that's very disturbing, if you're a Gators fan, is the defense is playing lights out. 38 points in 2 games. They are being put in positions that are just not good, and they are playing extremely well. But the offense is really struggling. And who is in charge of the offense?
Right. And he's in charge of everything. And the problem is just that he doesn't need to be the calling plays. You watch every other team in the country, with a few exceptions, and he is overloaded with stuff. He's counselor, he's head coach, he's offensive coordinator, he's all these different things. And you can see where it's unraveling on him. Now, I will tell you this. You're 100% correct about the defense. The defense is a championship defense. I think that's where the point spread comes from. Can the defense keep Florida in the game? Because you think about like last week, if Lagway doesn't throw an interception on 3rd down and whatever, they're in range for a field goal at that point. That makes it 20-13, which Brian Kelly would have been very happy to walk away with a 20-13 win, and you cover the number. You're that 8.5 is covered at that point. So that's I think the odds makers look at that and say Florida's defense is good enough. If they can just figure out a way to score, not have a touchdown called back again and again and again, then that's a big deal. And that's another thing that you talk about with Billy Napier, the sloppiness of the game, the holding penalties,
the discipline, the penalties.
Somebody asked him after the game, and he's like, "Well, when you hold him, you don't know where he is, and then when he rolls to the right, you don't disengage." Well, the idea is that why are they engaged in the first place?
Right.
And if that guy starts to move, you better let him go. Okay. And I don't. There's a detail thing there that is not getting done right. And you're sort of outing yourself by saying, well, they didn't do. Yeah, I get that, but you're the one who's got to coach them. You're the one coaching them how to hold, so to speak. So why teach them then how to let go from holding? So it's that kind of a thing that's pretty frustrating. The other part of it is that if Florida could get a little bit more off the ball blocking, the running backs are there. Ball only ran the ball 7 times.
Yeah, in a close game.
Come on.
Especially with Lagway struggling.
That's the point.
They needed to get a running game going.
The defense only gave up 13 points. Correct. There was an interception for a touchdown in a close game. Why, if you're in that game, then why were you not giving those guys an opportunity to run the football? Because they weren't failing at it. They were getting big chunks, but they weren't failing at it. It made no sense to go that way. And I quite understand it, because I thought that they LSU played exactly the way I hoped they would play. That was a winnable game for Florida.
Absolutely.
I'm not, again, I'm not. So I picked LSU to win the SEC championship only because I thought that they could sort of finagle their way there. I just got some new blood. I'm not sold on Texas, and still not sold on Texas. But now watching Brian Kelly and him getting all, sort of aggravated and reporters and this and that. This is his MO that he did in Notre Dame when he had to win every game except for 1 or 2 to get in the playoffs, and he was making up the same. It was the same excuses, the same BS, same thing, getting mad at people all the time. He's not this is him.
Mm-hmm.
He has made Nussmeier from having a $25 million signing bonus to maybe a 3rd round draft pick at this point. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. He's not ready for prime time at all. And by the way, he's not the only one, because none of those quarterbacks that were touted early in the year are doing anything. I mean, Arch Manning, 5 out of 16 for 44 yards, whatever it was in the first half against UTEP.
Straight.
Yeah, against UTEP. That's not good. And then you look at Nussmeier, you look at Lagway with 5 interceptions, which was sort of silliness. Klubnik
struggling. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but you're right. The top 4 guys that were preseason Heisman, they're not even going to New York. There's no chance.
No.
Klubnik's not going. Nussmeier can still work it out because his team's still undefeated, but he certainly hasn't impressed. I mean, that's another reason why you do these polls. It's absolutely ridiculous, whether it be the Heisman or the actual polls themselves. When we've talked about that ad nauseum.
So I will say this, a bigger encompassing problem other than the individual coaches, individual players. This has a lot to do with the portal, my opinion. Now, I know these players have been there at these schools. You would think that they're getting their reps, whatever, but who they're throwing to and everything else, it doesn't set up for a rhythm to things. When Joe Burrow was at LSU and he had the stacked a bunch of guys to throw it to, there was still a lot of things that hey, we throw all the time in the offseason. We're together all the time. You're meeting your teammate in August.
Yes.
How does that work?
Yeah.
I heard today, well, Texas has got injuries at a running back and wide receiver.
They had injuries last year. Their 3 best running backs weren't there.
Same thing. Why is that? Because they're coming in, they're not practicing. Who knows what it is? But I can tell you that I feel as though when you see a trend like this, there's got to be one underlying situation to it. And I believe that it is the fact that the portal is involved and people are not in rhythm with each other. You grow up with each other. If you're, hey, we got a top 10 recruiting class, and you grow up with that receiver that went with you, and then you're the quarterback and whatever else. Now it's like, hey, we got a hot shot from he had a great year at Louisiana Tech, so he's coming to us, and then he doesn't know what to do. He's learning an offense. So a lot of that stuff has a lot to do, I think, with the portal, and that's going to be where you have to start figuring out how you handle that and going forward, and trying to throw a talent into the middle of a new situation. J. Michael Sturdivant for Florida was supposed to be the new Ricky Pearsall, the new Elijah Badger, whatever these different guys at Florida have had, and he don't know where he's even lining up half the time.
Yeah. Interesting move, though. We didn't even talk about it. The fact that now there's only one portal opening.
Yes.
And they kept it in January as opposed to doing it in like April. It just makes it makes absolutely no sense.
The weekend of the quarterfinals is when it is. It's like
that was the complaint from the beginning. So now, instead of having 2 openings, you have only 1 opening, but it's still in the wrong spot.
I would love to be like, if they said, the NCAA said, we want to hire a guy that can just tell us when every time we do something stupid, right? I would love to be that guy. I would sit there with a gong or a big buzzer, or I don't know what it would be, a whoopee cushion, and go, no, that's stupid. You already can't. You tried that before, and you went away from it. Why do these things, these stupid things all the time? I think sometimes it's like they just throw stuff at the wall, and they're like, hey, well, look how it didn't work. Well, whatever. We'll try another one next year. We'll see how that goes. It's ridiculous. Oh, I know another quarterback, Lenoris. Is it Sanders?
The kid from South Carolina, Sellers. Yeah.
Sellers. He hurt. He was hurt last year again. So a lot of these things that are happening, who knows? But these top performers are really not doing anything. And not to skip around, but Vanderbilt looks like the best team in the SEC right now.
Isn't that amazing? And Diego Pavia, who's in his 10th year, is doing a great job for them.
That's how it is. Everybody gets COVID years now. I don't even know where they are. 7 years into a college career.
I have no idea either. We'll get to the other results. I want to keep it in state for just a
Yeah,
second.
right ahead.
Miami's got a very interesting schedule set up, John. They play Florida on Saturday night. Then they have a week off. Then they go to Tallahassee. Okay. Right. So they get a week off for that. Then they have another week off, and they probably play the second best team in the ACC in Louisville on a Friday night at Hard Rock.
Right.
So they've got two really big games coming up, and they're going to have a week off between each of them.
The schedule maker for Miami is a lot better schedule maker than the guy at Florida because, and you never know every year what it's going to be like. You never know that, hey, look, Florida State was 2-10 last year. Who expected that? So you don't know you never know what you're going to get one year to the next with the teams you schedule. But Miami set it up right. They got themselves a break in between a couple of big games, and they're going to play a good game at home on a Friday night. So yeah, they're doing it. They're playing it smart schedule wise. Miami won't win the ACC, but Miami might be the team that puts fly in the ointment for a second ACC team to get into the playoffs, because I think there's going to be a lot of SEC teams with 4 and 5 losses that Miami will go past them if they beat Florida. For as important a game as Florida State is, I think Florida is more important game to Miami than Florida State is this year, because I think that it's that SEC. You can go back and say we beat an SEC team. They're good, whatever it may be.
The other game's a conference game, John.
Well, I know that, but I think in inside the conference, I think they're gonna win enough games in the conference, because again, no one's gonna blow it away. Clemson's already they've lost twice,
once in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that Miami can afford a conference loss more than, and I think this game, how it plays out for them, might be that win outside the conference that they could say, look at what we did, in that case. Okay. So we'll see.
All right. Other game, UCF and FSU, by the way, had the week off. Florida State gets back into action, kind of. They host a very bad Kent State team.
Now that schedule, they really went back and got an easy go of it. Now let's not say Alabama wasn't an easy go of anything. They've kind of got
and stuff back that together. One looks better and better every week, because Alabama certainly looked very impressive against Wisconsin, and the quarterback has gotten hit. The last 2 games has been tremendous.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He was like 15 for 15. Won the first game, the other game that he was last week. He was 14 out of 15 or something. So just finding guys, and again, therein lies a situation. And again, nobody wants to ever hear this as a coach, but that might have been the best thing that happened to them to get their cage rattled against Florida State, because they sure the hell woke up after that offensively.
All right, North Carolina comes to Orlando to take on UCF. UCF is a 6.5 point favorite. That's a 3:30 game on Fox. Very prime spot. Now, last couple of years, UCF has had these opportunities. Remember, Colorado came a call in last year, and they were a double-digit favorite, and they got the doors blown off. This is a pretty big game for UCF, and Carolina certainly has righted the ship after that opening disgusting game against TCU.
Yeah, I think it's one to watch if you're really want to get a deep dive on what's going on with Bill Belichick. And I mean, UCF, they moved their way up. They're a Big 12 team. Right. This is a game that they should win, in my opinion. Yes. Okay. You're at home. It's going to be, the weather's been nice lately, but I think it's going to be a little muggier on Saturday. Belichick, for a greatest coach, he's still cutting his teeth on what his team is. So he's still learning a little bit about that. And UCF always is on their hat on being able to play a great offense. So I think this could be a signature win for UCF. I think I think it's important for them to win this game. I think it's important for the Big 12 to win this game too, to get some more valid wins outside the conference. Have
teams remain undefeated, because they seem to be getting knocked off one after the other. One other in-state game, South Carolina State is at USF. USF finally gets a little bit of a breather. That's noon at Raymond James Stadium on Saturday. And if you have ESPN Plus, well, you can watch it. But, it's about what a South Carolina State USF game
You got to be hardcore to watch that one. Yeah,
absolutely. Other results from the weekend: Texas A&M, Notre Dame. What a game that was!
fantastic.
To really wrap up the day on Saturday, Notre Dame gets a touchdown late in the fourth quarter and botches the extra point. The kid never even gets a chance to kick it. Texas A&M comes down the field, a couple of penalties, and then they get a 4th and 11 conversion for a touchdown and kick the extra point. And A&M wins 41-40, and that's probably the signature win that the Aggies needed, at least for now.
First time they've won on the road against a ranked team since 2014.
Yes.
Top 25 team. So yeah, big win for them because they have not been able to haven't had a win like that in a long time. And so it does bode well for them because, like I said, they're gonna hop back into the SEC and it's gonna just be brutal. I don't know if A&M, looking at them play Notre Dame, I'm not quite sure that they are a upper tier SEC team. Again, I could be, because A&M has been traditionally beat LSU, lose to Mississippi State, kind of a setup for them, whatever the reason is. But I don't really see them as that team. So we'll see. We'll see that. But that does help. That's a resume builder for sure.
And Notre Dame, still ranked in the top 25 at 0-2. But think about it. They've lost to the number 4 team in the land by a field goal, and they lost to the number Texas A&M's now 10th, and they lost by a point. Can the Irish run the table and still make the playoff at 10-2?
Yes, but it depends. And that's what I mean. It's about certain things. If you stack up a couple of two loss teams from the Big Ten, from the SEC, and even from the ACC, I think that Notre Dame will get squeezed on that situation unless they can put something. Unless they can just look phenomenal, pass the eye test, get their fan base to scream and yell about some things. But I think that they have to have where they have some teams that are a lot of 4 loss teams, 3 and 4 loss teams that are going after that 12, 11, 10 seed going into the playoffs. They can do it, but it's not really in their hands. They have to win their games, obviously, but it's not in their hands. This is not that they win the next 10 games, they're good kind of situation. They don't have a conference championship to boast or anything.
They don't have a conference championship, and they don't have a schedule.
Yeah.
Back half of the schedule. We talked about this. It's the softest tissue paper in the second half. Last year, the Army and Navy games were against 2 ranked teams, and that helped them. They don't get that this year. I don't think either team's going to be ranked. No. They basically need A&M and Miami to keep winning. I think that's their 100%. Biggest thing is to get them into the playoff. That might carry them into the playoff.
They need to build their resume off of somebody else's wins.
Yes.
I think that's how it's going to work. So I agree with that. But, Notre Dame in both those games seemed as though they weren't like they felt they were like they were playing over their head just to stay in the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't feel like they were the better team in those situations. So again, my eye is different than your eye, whatever else. But if on a selection committee scenario, if you look at it on paper, like, oh, they lost by a point and was a bad botched extra point, or they lost by this. But if you watch the game, they didn't look like they looked like a top 20 team. They didn't look like a top 10 team to me. And I think what will happen is they'll keep winning, but they're not going to move up or down very much. Unless everybody starts dropping, that just goes. They're not going to move up. People are going to drop down. That's what I mean. They think they've hit their spot at this point.
What a game in Knoxville, Georgia and Tennessee. Yeah. Ebbs and flows in that game. Tennessee came out like gangbusters, led 21-7 in the first quarter. Georgia, during the middle of the game, scored 20 unanswered, took the lead. Tennessee with a couple of big plays, and it came down to a 44-yard field goal. And John, I don't, 44-yard field goal these days should be pretty automatic.
Yeah.
But Tennessee was called for a false start, so they couldn't move the ball to the center of the field, and then he pushed it right. You've got to make that kick if you're Tennessee. And this, again, is where Tennessee needed to get over the hump, and they couldn't. And Georgia hung in there. Certainly didn't play well. Kirby, I'm sure, that defense giving up 41 points. I'm sure practice on Monday was insane there too. But they found a way. And Kirby, after the game, was almost speechless when he was talking to the reporter because he knew he stole one.
So being a Florida fan, like I am, seeing these teams play the way they're playing, being Tennessee, Georgia, everybody, Alabama losing, I'm looking and thinking, myself, my goodness, if we could have just got ourselves straightened out some way or another, we would have been a contender, because these teams nobody looks like they're the big splashy, dominant SEC team that you would expect, or even two of them. I think that Tennessee, I don't know. They were really good last year. I thought and they didn't quite get it done. I think they're a lesser team this year. They think they came out with a great plan, but I don't know if it's how it is. But Josh Heupel reminds me a lot of Phil Fulmer. They have a lot of similarities to each other. They come out with a plan, and it seemed like he had 25 plays that scripted. He got through them in the first quarter, and then he's like, I don't know what to do from here. I'm done. That's all I had. I was done. So yeah, I think that Tennessee will be a contender, but I don't. Again, not a top team.
They're not even the best team in Tennessee, as Vanderbilt, as you mentioned earlier, going into Columbia. Now, I would have loved Sellers to have played the entire game, but they were losing even when he went out, and they put the pedal to the metal, and Vandy wins 31-7 over a South Carolina team that was getting a lot of press.
Yes, and I mentioned one of my boss bugging me. I kind of picked on Shane Beamer one night for his sort of bravado and jumping around and whatever else that he likes to do as far as his coaching style is concerned. When things got bad for him and Sellers got hurt, he wasn't the same guy anymore.
No,
and teams play off of that. Yeah. South Carolina looked like they were hanging their heads, just like their coach had a boo-boo face on him, and you can see it, and the team didn't respond. And the latter half of that game, there was nothing. They didn't trust their backup quarterback. Looked like everybody just got their head down, and they sleptwalked to a really bad beating. And not because Vanderbilt's not a good team, but they got beat at home pretty badly. That's what I say about a guy who wants to jump around and chest bump everybody and be their best friend and whisper in their ear all the time, and then all of a sudden it goes bad and you're not doing it anymore. Kids like, well, where's my hug? Where's my pat on the back? Where's my I'm great? Wasn't there because the coach was, sulking. That's what he was doing. He was sulking.
Georgia Tech got the day started with a walk-off 55-yard field goal to stun then 12th-ranked Clemson 24-21 in Atlanta. A lot of people love Georgia Tech in that game. A lot of people think Georgia Tech is going to play in the ACC championship game. They certainly took a big step.
Rich, I think that they are too. But the problem is this. They're running that Haynes King kid.
Yes.
That's not going to last. I don't care what conference you're in. It's not going to hold up. And they play a lot of games very close to the vest. I think their coach he's a good coach. I like him a lot. I got a lot of Florida fans talking in my ear about, hey, that's the next guy. No, he's not. There's been a lot of good coaches that coached well at Georgia Tech, and it didn't carry over to other places.
No.
A lot of times Georgia Tech, that's the team. I'm trying to think of who to compare them to, but they're always going to be the team that they win playing tough, hard-nosed defense. They ball control stuff, everything else, because they're not getting this huge amount of talent running through Georgia Tech. They get pieces, but they don't get like a wave of a top 10 class. Yeah. So that guy's doing what he's supposed to be doing at Georgia Tech. I don't know if it translates, and I can see him doing really well getting to the championship game, but that's not the next coach for Florida. That's for sure.
No, it's John Gruden, man. It's John. That's, to me, that's the no-brainer. John Gruden wants back in. John Gruden wants to coach in college. John Gruden is in Florida. He would bring serious buzz and juice.
I have a guy that I picked last year. This is way off track. I'll get back onto this, but I look at a guy like Mike Tomlin at Pittsburgh.
Really?
Mike Tomlin, it's reaching its end. This game, it was but everybody's like they want to keep on pointing that Mike Tomlin didn't do this or didn't do that. But I think that Mike Tomlin would make an unbelievably good college coach. Okay. He's young enough to take over a program and do it for a number of years. It would be a fresh start for him. But again, he was with Tampa Bay, so he knows the area, whatever it may be. It's just a matter if he wants to do it. But I don't know. I've said all along that the next Florida coach, if that is the case, and we move forward from Billy Napier, he's not in the college ranks. I really don't think he is. Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think it's a big hire. It's going to be a splash hire. If you would have asked me a couple of years ago, a guy who might have been somebody you could pick but he got the Cowboy job, was Brian Schottenheimer. He's a Gator alumni. He's an offensive-minded coach. I think that he would be a fantastic choice, but obviously now he got the Cowboys job, so that's not happening. But again, there's guys out there.
Lapdog.
Yeah, there's guys out there that can definitely do the job, and I don't. But going back to Georgia Tech, good coach on the right team, winning games. It's good.
Games this week, a big game in the Big 12. This is the big noon kickoff at Fox, which is actually 10 a.m. in Salt Lake City. 17th ranked Texas Tech at 16th ranked Utah. Another big game for the conference. Got to keep somebody undefeated. I think that's a pretty big game. The SEC's best game, in my opinion, is number 22 Auburn at number 11 Oklahoma, although a sneaky good game, John. Tulane, who suddenly is the darling of the group of whatever you want to call them, 5, 6.
The other guys.
Yeah. At number 13 Ole Miss. That'll be a test for the Rebels.
100%. A couple Venice kids on that team too on Tulane. Yep. Mari Hayes had a nice game, and CJ Lewis is on the team as well. But Tulane, so Ole Miss, they seem a little disorganized. They seem a little bit disheveled, if you ask me. And Lane can be a little bit of a powder as well when things don't go his way. I could see Tulane definitely going there and sneaking and beating them. I'll tell you what I do like though. That Oklahoma game, it'll be is this guy Mateer for real at quarterback? Because if he plays like he's been playing, we might have there might be an SEC quarterback in New York for the Heisman, but it won't be the guys we thought it was going to be. It might be him from Oklahoma if he puts those numbers up still.
Yes, sir. The other games, Illinois and Indiana, kind of the second-tier Big Ten Bowl. I know they don't want me to say it like that, but that's kind of what it is. The winner of this game kind of gets an inside track maybe to one of the playoff spots if they keep winning. That's the NBC game at 7:30 on Saturday night. And at 11 o'clock on Saturday night on Fox, Michigan State at number 25 USC, if you could stay up that long.
Right. It might be an entertaining game. I don't know.
Yes.
But I won't be able to watch that. That's for sure. I'll be worn out after the Miami beats the heck out of Florida watching that. By the way, Rich, I don't know if you noticed, but it's very hard for me to stay this still the way I am.
Yeah, I know. I noticed it. I'm trying to figure out how I can fix this.
It's all right. I haven't frozen up. I'm just, I'm still.
Yeah,
you're
not Max Headroom or anything. You're just contemplating everything right now. You're just totally
very deep in thought.
All right, we're going to go to the NFL, but once again, we want to remind you that the 941 Sports Zone is brought to you by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. They are locally owned and nationally backed. They are delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses across the Gulf Coast. Give them a call, 941-251-4257. Again, 941-251-4257. Week 2 in the NFL, John, started off with the Packers beating the Commanders, and now it looks like Jaden Daniels is very questionable for the game coming up this Sunday. He's had 3 extra days to rest, but apparently he got hurt. Speaking of getting hurt, Joe Burrow, turf toe. And before you start laughing, if you remember, Deion Sanders' career was cut short by turf toe.
It's no joke. I've talked to people.
It is no joke.
And
it sounds like it's going to be 3 months because they did decide to have surgery. So we probably won't see Joe Burrow till December. But let's not cry for the Bengals so much because they have, if not the best backup quarterback, certainly one of the best 3 in Jake Browning. Yeah. And he showed his worth. Jacksonville looked like they had that game against Cincinnati on Sunday taken care of. Liam Cohen goes for it on 4th down, leaves him the long field. And all Browning does is go all the way down the field and score with 18 seconds left, and the Bengals are 2-0.
That's it. No doubt about it. And listen, he's got more weapons than anybody in the league does as far as so he can throw it around and he can throw stuff up for grabs, and those guys are going to make plays. They may rally. That might be the mode. Not that I don't think that the Cincinnati receivers don't put it out there all the time, but there are times in games where they disappear. I don't think they're going to disappear in this situation. I think they're going to be ready to go. They know they're going to play at their top level to make Browning do his thing. And maybe the defense has to step up a little bit because they haven't over the last few years. So we'll see how that works out. One thing I will say early on, and it really came to fruition this week, quarterbacks getting hurt. I don't know, if it's the mobile quarterback situation. I don't know what it is, but you've got, like you said, we can go down the list if you want to, but you got Jaden Daniels, like I said, he's hurt. Justin Fields got hurt. Joe Burrow got hurt. You got
JJ McCarthy got hurt.
JJ McCarthy's out for 4 weeks.
Yep, 2 to 4 weeks. Yep.
I think that's just, I could told you earlier, I think that's one of those, like, maybe we need to give him a break because he looked like crap except for one quarter. Maybe we got to figure out to give him a chance to get his act together. But that's another whole story right there. So early injuries to quarterbacks doesn't bode well for a lot of different teams out there that really don't need that kind of situation to happen. And we'll see how it goes. But if that's the MO, my good, there's a lot of good teams that are going to be struggling to maintain their playoff status.
I'm going to give you the matchup of the week next week coming up when we start looking at week 3 in the National Football League. Looking back, Philadelphia won the Super Bowl rematch with Kansas City, 20-17. The Eagles are 2-0, and the Chiefs are 0-2 for the first time in 11 years. And for the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era, he's lost 3 straight games, the Super Bowl and the first 2 games of this season.
They don't look like a contender to me.
No, they don't.
And Philly looked good, but Philly looks – they're falling in love with their toughness. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that you can't win that way, but they have not, to me, shown me that they're utilizing their guys. You got Barkley, you've got A.J. Brown, you've got Devonta Smith, you got all these guys, and it doesn't seem like they're trying to get the ball. All they're focusing on is 9 different ways they can run the brotherly shove or the tush push or whatever they want to call it. It just seems like they're wrapped up in that kind of thing. And man, they're gonna set themselves up for a late season, mishap, so to speak, if they don't get everything on track and look like the number 1 team in the NFL.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we're recording this on Monday night, the Monday night game between the Chargers and the Raiders. The winner of that game goes to 2-0 and has a 2-game lead over Kansas City. It's a pretty big game for this early in the season.
Very big game. But again, and a great game because those 2 coaches hate each other.
Yes, they do.
How convenient for Pete Carroll to go land right in Jim Harbaugh's backyard again. I think he does it on purpose.
Yeah, there's definitely no love lost between them.
They hate each other, boy.
Yeah. Buffalo moved to 2-0. Very methodical win, 30-10. James Cook was the star of the show. Josh Allen really didn't do that much in this game, but he didn't have to, as Buffalo scored early and often and put this game away pretty quick.
So you watched I think I told you I thought this was no way the Jets can beat Buffalo in this situation. But a lot of the things that happened under Robert Saleh are starting to happen again under Aaron Glenn. third and 19 or whatever it was. Allen rolls out going back to pass. Michael Clemens, very aggressive guy, but just famous for bonehead plays. Just didn't even really get him a good shot. Hit him a little high, maybe a half a second too late. First down, game over. I mean, game was over. And then continue to do the same crap over and over and over again. Come out after a score. Buffalo's coming with pinning the ears back. They know they got you on the ropes. It's like a Mike Tyson second round knockout. He's just throwing haymakers, and they throw haymakers on defense. Jets aren't ready for it. They're not quite ready. They make their mistakes. They keep making the mistakes. The mistakes are unbelievably hard to overcome. You can't be a bottom, second level team in the NFL and play with all those mistakes over and over again. And what was it a big surprise that Justin Fields got hurt? No, it was not. It was inevitable. That's who he is. He's been hurt most of his career. So now you look at it and say, well, where are we now? And so do you play to get better? Of course you do. Do you play? What's your goals? I don't know, because Tampa Bay at home and first home game, the Buccaneer atmosphere is very good. They got a big offense. Jets got to match them. It's going to be tough. I think they're an 0-3 team by next week.
Speaking of backup quarterbacks, Mac Jones, late of the Patriots, late of the Jaguars, now the 49ers, 3 touchdown passes and a 26-21 win over the Saints, who are clearly on the clock.
Yeah, no doubt. They talk about Matt Jones like he's George Blanda. I don't know. Maybe you and I, all people who know who George Blanda are at this day and age, but George Blanda was a 45 or 46-year-old backup quarterback and a kicker for the Raiders back in the day.
Yes,
but Mac Jones, he can't run, he can barely throw, he can't do this. He's out of shape, but he's a decent quarterback. I think that might be the best backup quarterback that Brock Purdy could have. He's not a threat to take over his job, but he'll do just as good a job when he gets in there. So perfect scenario for the 49ers.
Yeah, and Shanahan loves him. Has always loved him, so he's been able to coach him up in the preseason, and it certainly showed. Number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward. Rams beat the Titans in Tennessee 33-19. Ward has been sacked 11 times in his first 2 games, in addition to being hit a ton. Do you sit him down? Because he's getting beat up, man.
Yeah, that's like, we talk about the number 1 overall pick quarterback, put him in the game, put him in. There's a reason why you got picked by that team, because they can't block anybody. And so in this case, he's running around and taking hits outside the pocket.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a recipe for being on the IR or the UR or whatever they call it now for 6 weeks, because you got a shoulder injury or your chest contusion or something along those lines. So yeah, tough going right now for the Titans and him.
Give it up for the Indianapolis Colts. They're 2-0. Danny Dimes looked good again yesterday against a pretty good defense in Denver. They won the game. Very controversial 60-yard field goal doesn't go through. However, the Broncos are called for leaping.
But they know this. And if they don't know, whose fault is it if they don't know this?
Sean Payton.
Right. So you can't complain. It wasn't like an iffy call. It was definitely what they did. And so you get a 15-yard penalty, and why? Why would you even want to do that? It's a 60-yard field goal. The guy can't kick it 60 yards. I would just want him to stand there waving my arm, said, don't go anybody go outside because he's going to miss it. It was dumb. It was a really bad coaching decision. Really bad coaching. And that's he's a great coach. I think Peyton's going to do a lot with the Broncos, but he's got to take ownership on that one. That was a terrible, terrible play.
And with a division like it is, that's pretty bad loss. You could be 2-0, should be 2-0.
Right.
And instead you're 1-1. Arizona's 2-0, probably the most uninspiring 2-0 team after holding off Carolina 27-22. The game that surprised me the most is Seattle went to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers 31-17 in their home opener.
They couldn't stop running against the Jets. They couldn't stop running against the Jets, and they can't stop the run against Seattle.
Right.
The most expensive defense in the league. and they are not doing a damn thing. And I don't dislike Aaron Rodgers. I actually think that he adds a little pizzazz or something to the NFL, but you can't be that guy to name names in press conferences.
Yeah,
you know what? You can't do it. I know that you said it, but you said he's a great guy. I had a beer with him or whatever. You're all it is, but you can't do it. It just lends itself to like bitter feelings start to happen. Yep. Weird things. I'm a professional. I don't need to be called out by some guy who showed up 4 weeks ago, basically. Right. So I don't need that stuff. And so, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and that won't play well in that locker room. It won't at all.
Pittsburgh,
even though he's 100 years old and has gotten some, he's built up some bravado, if you will. But that's a different locker room for sure.
Yeah, he can't. They're very tight knit. That's a bad move.
Detroit got back on track, beat the brakes off the Bears 52-21. I guess
they wanted to make sure that Ben Johnson knew that he made a mistake leaving.
Yes.
Boy, did they kick their ass at the end of that game.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And New England gets the win in Miami. Very rare that even Tom Brady would do that. But New England outlasted the Dolphins 33-27. Stat of the day for this game. The Dolphins finally stopped the Patriots in the third quarter. The first 12 drives of the season, the opponent scored points. I mean, how bad is that defense?
Yeah, I know. Very entertaining game, though. It was a lot of different things, back-to-back kick returns.
Yes, punt return and a kick return.
Tua looked pretty good yesterday, but I can tell you this right now. I've never seen a coach, and listen, I know that Mike McDaniel, that's what I'm saying, it is McDaniel, right? I always forget.
It is.
Yeah. So Mike McDaniel never looked like your prototypical head football coach.
No.
He's not Dan Campbell. Okay. he could fit in Dan Campbell's pocket, but he's not Dan Campbell, right? And he came in there with sort of a very interesting delivery. His personality is very sort of quirky. He looks quirky. He vapes on the sidelines. Whatever's going on, right? He's making up plays for Tua and everything else. But that guy looks like he needs to go home and go play video football because he is done.
He might.
I've never seen a guy that they honestly. If I was the general manager, and he may be done as well in this situation.
Yes, Chris Greer.
They have not loaded up on any talent out through the draft. Nothing. Yeah. They put a lot of money into Tua, who we know is a China doll, waiting for his next concussion. This is a sinking ship like I've never seen this early in a season. I said how bad the Jets are. There's at least there's hope. There's no hope. They look like they all got they lost their dog. It's terrible.
John, they hosted a team only meeting after 1 week.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, their handwriting's on the wall. And guess where Miami goes Thursday night? Yeah, to Buffalo. You talk about the spread's 2 touchdowns. And I'll lay it. It because I think the Bills are just going to beat the brakes off them. Well, and with this mini bye week, with this mini bye week, that could be the time that they decide to make those changes.
They have to. I would rarely say this about it, but they're done. That guy is done. He needs to go now. And at least at that point, you can throw somebody out there or in there who on staff or whatever. But and I'll tell you another thing. I would be if it gets really bad, I'd park Tua too. I wouldn't have him out there. You got all that money invested in him. Why would you risk him for as shaky as he is? Give him another year to get his head straightened out, and I'd get him off the field. And it's time to trade Tyreek. He needs to go.
Oh, he's gone by the trade deadline. I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any question.
You got to get handwriting. That's bad money. That's bad everything.
And the handwriting was on the wall when he wasn't even named a captain. That pretty much told you what his teammates think of him. Okay,
right.
That's you're right.
And you know what? A guy like him, he'll go back to Kansas City. If you wanted to go to Kansas, you could probably Kansas City can get him back. He'll fit right in. And all of a sudden, that could be the charge they get to get a wild card spot. But yeah, it's I've never seen anything as bad as that looked just from an optics perspective. Even though they played well in the game or played a good game, it looked terrible. It looks terrible.
All right, so with some games next week, Bucks, you mentioned their home opener against the Jets. Las Vegas travels to Washington. Jane Daniels, questionable at best, might miss the game. Houston at Jacksonville, that's a big division game. Depending on how Houston did on Monday night.
Yep.
They're in a tussle with Tampa Bay as we record this. That could be a very interesting game. Jacksonville playing better, but they need to start stacking wins. Rams are in Philly in a battle of 2-0 teams, a rematch from last year's playoffs, a great game that was played in Philly. And Denver's at the LA Chargers, and Arizona's at San Francisco, and that's the 49ers home opener. So a lot of early season divisional games that are going to go a long way to determining how these divisions end up.
Rams Philly really interests me a lot because I think that the Rams are sneaky good. I will say this. I thought McVay was a great coach. Then I seen a little dip, but I think the dip was necessary to kind of recharge the team. And he's showing again what kind of a coach he is. That guy's a good coach. Really is a good coach.
The Sunday night game is Kansas City and the Giants, battle of 0-2 teams. The Monday night game, Detroit at Baltimore. That should be a doozy.
They got a good one. It seems Monday Night Football has been getting sort of the crumbs every once in a while. That's a very worth staying up football game. That one's going to be a good one to watch.
All right. So there you go. We have let's see. That's the look at the National Football League. Again, we're going to look at baseball, and then our final segment of What's Bugging Me, and Mighty Dog Roofing, the fine sponsor of the 941 Sports Zone. 2 weeks left in the regular season, John, and there's still good races going on for several divisions and both wild cards. Give it up for the Seattle Mariners. They were left for dead about 5 weeks ago, and they're now in first place in the AL West. The big dumper hit, I believe, number 54 on the season. He is stating his case for MVP.
Yeah.
And Houston has quite the closing schedule. The Astros and Rangers begin a huge 3-game series on Monday night in Houston. The Rangers are just 2 games behind the Astros for that final wild card, and the Rangers have been playing lights out in September. That is a huge series. The Astros were in control, and now they very well could be going home.
So I was going to say, am I crazy? But does this seem like in baseball that every time you see one team that makes a run, then they drop back, and it seems like it's been a season of surges, of streaks, where all of a sudden, hey, the Rays they're leading the wild card, then they're 6 games back, and then they're 2 games back, and then they lose, and it's not like everybody's losing to certain teams. They're just taking turns losing to anybody for that matter. Right. You know what I mean? Yes. So it's been all the scenarios. I mean, my goodness, you could sit here probably for 2 weeks to figure out if this happened, that happened, this goes here, that goes there. Not just for who makes it, but who's going to be seeded, who gets the bye, who gets this. There's a lot of stuff going on in and around every division. You did mention that Detroit might be the most steady of the teams right now.
Yeah, but their lead's down to 6.5 too. Now there's 2 weeks left in the season. They're going to win. And they got a real scare Friday night. Tariq Skubal, their all-everything pitcher, probably Cy Young Award winner again.
Right.
Left the game with some arm soreness in the 4th inning, but the word is he's going to be okay. I think the Tigers would be nuts to pitch him before the playoffs. I just put him in bubble wrap.
Yeah, I totally agree because what's the reason? What you're going to get? How many more starts? 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's no way near is that worth it. It's not worth it.
And they're in all likelihood going to get a bye, so into the second round they won't have to play in the wild card, so they can really set things up for themselves. The Yankees and Red Sox just played a series. Yankees took 2 out of 3. They are 4 back of Toronto, while Boston is 5.5. If this thing stay the same, Yankees Red Sox wild card at Yankee Stadium, best of 3. Wow.
So,
That would be pretty good.
it's what MLB would absolutely. It couldn't be any happier if that's how it plays out.
Right.
You know, Toronto wins the East. The Yankees and the Red Sox are going to bludgeon each other for, you know, whatever, for the wild card. They would love that scenario to play out if that's the way it works. And I don't blame them. I mean, it's compelling. There's a lot of good teams, and I might have mentioned this before, but a lot of if you're a casual observer of baseball, which a lot of people have become, especially, you know, the last few years, you don't know you don't know certain guys anymore. You know, I mean, Judge, Ohtani. There's big names, but like, you can't pick some of the really good players out if you're a casual observer of baseball. But you do know the Yankees and the Red Sox. You do know the rivalries of those particular games and those particular. So from a marketing perspective, from a watchability perspective, that would be the coup de grace for the MLB.
Yeah. National League Philly has all but clinched the NL East. They swept the Mets last weekend. I think their magic number's down to like 1.
Doesn't it feel like they've been like it's been an inevitability since the beginning of the season with the Phillies?
Yeah, I mean, the Mets at one time did have a 5-game lead. However, that evaporated immediately. They have been playing brutal baseball since mid-May. They've like the 3rd worst record in baseball since then, 3rd or 4th. But they have not been playing well. And now the Padres are in New York to take on the reeling Mets. San Diego's 2.5 behind the Dodgers, who, as it looks now, unless they sweep the Phillies, are going to be the 3rd best division winner, which means they'll have to play in the wild card round. And with their pitching, they could be an early out.
Right. No doubt about it.
Of course, Major League Baseball does not want that. So
no.
I mean, if the Yankees play the Red Sox and the Dodgers play whomever, play the Mets, you're going to have 2 teams that Major League Baseball wants in are going to be out, no matter what.
Right. Exactly. So. No, like I said, I mentioned last time we talked a little baseball too. I'm a fan of the Padres. Don't know what it is. They got there. Sometimes look. I mean, I'll say this. Brewers as well. I like the Brewers as well. It just seems like they've got. There's a little bit of a I don't know how to put it, but bravado involved with those particular organizations right now. It could just be my eye that looks and sees, but watching them casually, I'm not following them all over, but watching it casually, they seem to be the teams that I think could be a team that could catch a real hot streak and go forward in the playoffs and blow through it and get to the World Series.
All right. Milwaukee and Philadelphia have actually clinched playoff berths. Brewers are 2 up for the best record in the NL on the Phillies, who again are in LA, and Milwaukee's lead over the Cubs appears safe at 5.5 games. So there you go. All right. That's it for baseball. It's time for our final segment. What's bugging me? John, if you don't mind, I'm going to go first.
Please do.
Because I've been stewing since Friday night.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Tremendous game, tremendous atmosphere. Port Charlotte at Venice. 2 teams that laid it out on the line. And my hat's off to Venice being able to come out in the second half and get that win. And you talked about it earlier. There was a goal line stand very late in the game. As a matter of fact, Port Charlotte scored to make it 29-22, and then Venice botched the kickoff and gave Port Charlotte field position at like the 30 of Venice. And they got all the way down to the 1-yard line, and they had 3rd and goal, and they had 4th and goal. And they've got a 6'4" quarterback who basically could lean into the end zone. And what are they doing? They're running shotgun. What?
Yeah.
Shotgun. 2 sneaks, and he probably gets in. And all you hear is, we don't go under center. That's a coaching mistake. I mean, situational football, you can't be a yard away from the end zone, and you're basically taking the snap at the 6-yard line. You're giving yourself too much work to do. Right. It drives me absolutely nuts that they continue to do this, and they're not alone. I'm not picking on
No.
Jordan Ingman or any. It is the way football is. I see it in college all the time. It's 4th and inches, and the quarterback's in the shotgun. I don't understand it. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line as close as you can get. Like I said, since Friday night, I texted you right after the game. I said, nice win by Venice. I've got my what's bugging me. Yeah. And it has been bugging me throughout the weekend. We talked about it earlier today as I was driving home from work, and it's still under my skin. You have to. It's the hike from center is a simple thing. How in the world can you not be able to just hike the ball under center? And yet, like you said, tell me what you said in the car.
Well, I said they don't practice it. They don't do that. I said we don't do that. So
this is what we do.
This is how we do it, right? Yeah. And the thing about it is, you think about it, even not exactly. You're right, because if the script was flipped, the same thing would be happening from the green and white team. They were doing the same thing on Friday night. And I've always thought, like, it wouldn't be hard to do if you practice a little bit. Just, hey, you two guys go over there and practice snapping the ball to each other, right? Because like, let's say in that particular scenario, you line up at shotgun, and all of a sudden you say, you call a signal, you run that quarterback right up to the butt of that center, quick snap it, that nobody be ready for it. You score every time. Yep. But again, we are looking at it from a different perspective. We're not having to go through the grind of the off season, and then you're trying to get that snap down perfectly. Who knows what it is? But you're right. Being 7 yards back in the backfield, or 4 or 5 yards back in the backfield, and trying to advance the ball
a yard.
It's very difficult. Well, as soon as you start seeing somebody going wide, it doesn't usually work too well, especially with speed. You know what I mean? A team with speed on defense is gonna gobble that play up almost every single time. So I do totally agree with you on that.
All right, so that's what's bugging me. I'm gonna
go what's bugging me, and I'm gonna stick in the high school realm a little bit. So here we are, Rich. Right now, we're doing a podcast, trying to promote a lot of high school sports and everything else. And look what happens. My face is frozen on the screen, right? But it doesn't matter, okay? Because the content is still coming out. It still costs you nothing to watch us do this and give you a little content about local sports and what we're feeling about certain things. But there's this idea with what I do and what you do as well, coaches shows and you've done over the years with us, and then also live streaming, which is becoming a cornerstone on every high school campus. You've got some sort of a live stream. We get criticized, and I would say in a manner that would be ridiculous in regards to things that in a high school broadcast that is done in unbelievable quality in regards to the program. Now, I'm not talking about what I say. If I said something stupid on a game on Friday night, I could care less who has a problem with it. It's fun. We're having a good time with it. We're there to support everybody as much as we can. The kids get on TV. It's a win-win-win everywhere else. But to call and email the athletic department at Venice High School to say that somebody doesn't like the broadcast, or it's the worst they've ever seen because the person in the camera didn't follow the ball perfectly to the goal line. What did you miss on those 5 yards? You didn't see that ball. What did you miss? You missed nothing. You saw the guy run out, okay? And look, here's the reason why I'm upset about it, okay? There are 15, 16, 17-year-old kids from the high school interning, trying to learn how to do this stuff, and we're giving them the avenue to do it, working with the school, okay? So you're criticizing a 15-year-old kid who doesn't know much about sports, trying to keep a camera steady on top of a press box, and you're going to be calling talking to the athletic department about this?
Yeah.
Get a life, you loser. Get a life. Wow. Are you kidding me? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's free. It's free. That's what what do you want? I can't imagine that you would go reach out to somebody and complain about something like that. You've got no life. Zero. That's where you're going to go. And if you were unaware that interns were doing this, it still bothers me because it's free and you're getting to watch a game on a high quality deal with a. Are you complaining about the score on the bottom, the clock being there, instant replay? What more do you want? Should I send a pizza to your house? Would that make you happy? I don't know what else it would be. It's ridiculous. And unfortunately, that's the content of what people, they're becoming spoiled over what they get for free and what they expect of everything. I don't mind you saying it about me, but it bothers me that kid, there's a kid who might have read that, who's up there climbing ladders to get up to the thing, trying their best. They're nervous as it is. And now they got to worry about some a-hole who wants to go and say something like that. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And one other thing real quick, it's not what's bugging me, but it's what's ironic to me. The irony to me is that there was a situation with a transfer into Venice High School. We talked a little bit about this.
Yes.
And there was a complaint. Again, it made a lot of, it was on my Google feed and it was everything else about how Venice isn't Venice and this and that and all the different stuff. And it was respectively signed by the person, name not to be said, but the person was from Inglewood. Okay. Now look, let me just tell you something. If you're from Inglewood, why are you complaining about what Venice is about? Okay. I get it, but you're talking about a situation that the complaint was Venice wasn't being Venice. Okay. But you're not from Venice. So what's your complaint? Are you? I don't quite understand the irony of that. Is that you're saying Venice is not the same. You're not even a Venetian. I don't get it. But I mean that's the irony of certain things. How people want to say certain things and then they realize they sign their name to something and says you're not even from there. It's like me complaining about New York. You know what I'm saying? Oh, damn New York. Oh, the traffic sucks. I don't know. I'm not from there. You know what I mean? New York's not New York. I'm only guessing. Okay. It didn't seem to ring true to me, but my real issue overall and the whole situation was it's free. It's kids. Come on. Let's get her. And hopefully maybe that person didn't know, maybe they'll understand it, but you got to know what you got to know what you're talking about. We're not Fox. But by the way, you can watch Fox and you can watch some of these broadcasts that now the CW for college football and everything else. Man, I don't expect much even from those places, but I'll tell you that the Venice broadcast was better than some of the stuff that they put out there this week on some of these other networks, real networks, professional networks.
Right.
It's not top notch.
All right, John, I got to interrupt you because and we're again recording this. It's a little after 9:20 on Monday night. And the Houston Texans had 2nd and goal from the 1, 3rd and goal from the 1, and 4th and goal from the 1. Shotgun.
Right.
Didn't get in.
Right.
I'm watching it. I'm listening to you. I heard every word you said, but I'm watching this and just.
Rich, and now you're talking about your thing. Think about this. The narrative today is that they want to get rid of the tush push.
Right.
Because they can't officiate it. So the one play that you're talking about that maybe is even over the top the other direction. We're talking about outlawing it. So now and no one's going to go under center anymore if that's the case, right?
Right.
No one will.
Yeah.
Looks even the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, and it hurts me to say that, was a phenomenal quarterback sneak guy. Phenomenal. Yes. He's no athlete.
Almost every time. You're right.
Know what it was? No fear.
Yep.
Go for it. It's
and who walked up to the line of scrimmage, just like you said. He'd walk right up to the line of scrimmage and first sound, he's got the ball. He's moving ahead.
Yep. That's plenty. There's plenty of it.
Yeah.
Especially in that scenario, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down. You got 3 tries at it. Can you try it once, maybe?
Yeah.
Or if you don't want your quarterback to get hurt, teach your 2nd string running back how to take a snap.
Quarterback.
How hard is it to do? You know what I mean? And you run it in there and know you're going to do it. What's the difference?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. No doubt.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of the 941 Sports Zone. Again, big thanks to the folks at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. Locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses across the Gulf Coast. Give them a call, 941-251-4257. That's 941-251-4257. Another edition in the books. We'll have episode number 5 next Monday, live at 8, and then you can consume it. Facebook, my YouTube page. We're gonna get it out there as much as we can, and we hope give us some feedback. Give us some feedback. I'm open.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you the truth, Rich. I know we talk, but the feedback that I've been getting so far is that, again, getting reacquainted to what actually it's all about as far as what we're doing has been good. It's been very good, because there is a sort of a clamoring of, I get a lot of people, because I do stats and do different things, who are constantly asking me questions that now we are addressing, and they're passing it along to their friends and whatnot. So it's getting some good feedback, and so hopefully that everybody else as we roll through this and we get better and better at our banter and everything else, it'll just keep on growing from there. So appreciate everybody.
The other thing we got to get better at is the video, because you've been frozen now for about 45 minutes.
But it's listen, but this I tell you this, and you probably think I'm crazy, but I love this. Okay, because
why?
Because things that happen like this bring a certain amount of attention to something, maybe for the wrong reasons. But I think it's always kind of funny. Like, you were frozen for 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, but you watched it now, didn't you?
That's right. That's right.
So that's what I worry. That's what I like about it. So yes, I was frozen for a while. Okay.
Cryogenically.
And I'm sure that you talked to a lot of people in my life that say, we wish you would freeze on for us every once in a while, because you never shut up. but I said, yeah, but it's still kind of a funny thing. And I said, because at some point in time, we may be on a set somewhere talking about how it was back in the day when we were frozen on the screen. The dog was barking in the background. Whatever else was going on. Where were you doing that from? My brother's office. That's what I was doing it from. So yeah, that kind of stuff.
I'm in my spare room.
It's fun. I find it to be fun. I find it to be organic. It's happening as it happens. And hopefully you get to hear a little something maybe you didn't hear from somebody else.
That's right. All right, John. We're done.
We're out.
Well, next Monday at 8. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you for everybody watching. See you.
Yes. Thank you.